I'm Teresa.
And I'm Callista, and this is Terrifyingly Typical True Crime. And it is officially November, so that means, ready or not, the holiday season is upon us. And with that, we have started watching Holiday Baking Championship on Food Network. And honestly, I'm not really sure why we're still watching it. This season is teams for the first time ever.
You know how we love a team.
I know. And I mean, it's bad enough when they do a team challenge and everybody's just like, "Fucking A, someone's gonna drag me down," but now it's a whole freaking season?
I know. It is lame. I feel like a lot of shows feel the need. I mean, there's certainly shows that go on, and they should have stopped a long time ago. But I feel like their necessity to switch it up. I mean, it's a cooking competition. We doesn't really need to be switched up. The freaking weird shit that you have them make, that changes.
Yep.
And the contestants change. I mean, isn't honestly that's enough? Yeah, and the whole naughty or nice thing, I find it kind of lame. It's not as bad as the Halloween one. I know we stopped watching that because he was okay, this is bad. When people try to be funny or like, I mean, certainly I'm not like a cold-hearted, rigid, bitch. I do find things funny, but I also feel like it's really obvious when like you are told to make something funny, does that make sense?
Yeah, and then the contestants are told to laugh.
Yeah, I don't find it. I mean, we've mentioned GBBS, Great British Baking Show, but like Noel sometimes is annoying. And I know they're told to make stuff funny and engaging too, but I don't know. Yeah, it's not, I don't like the team thing. I always feel really bad for people when, individual challenges, they have to obviously be with somebody because it's not like your whole team wins. Everybody's going to get 25,000. No, it's one person. So what's the point? Right?
Exactly.
And also, I'm tempted to Google it. Hasn't the challenge, like, for years been 25,000? I mean, they're expensive. Can't you throw them, like, another 10 or something?
Yeah, I think, it's been that for, like, years, and, like, inflation's real, y'all.
Right? Yeah. Anyways, and, any reality show, we don't really watch anything but, like, Great British Baking Show and this. Do we watch anything else reality? I don't really think so.
I don't really think
Um
so.
And I know they edit it to, like, make you think this person isn't ideal, but yeah, I feel really judgy right off the bat because there's some people that I just don't like. But when the camera, like, pans to them and they're, like, making a face because somebody else has either done good or bad, come on, peeps. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it's both. I mean, it's reality TV, so they edit the hell out of it to make, someone the villain and someone the good guy, but then also I
Right.
feel like the contestants play up to that, and so
Oh,
you're
yeah.
not really getting, like, they're not coming across genuine like they do on GBBS.
Right? And a couple times, I will say this season, that there has been a couple people on GBBS that have made, like, a little look, and I'm like, I'm so taken aback because they always help each other. Somebody's running out of time, and they seem so much more genuine, you know? Yeah, and it's funny, your dad asked the other day, he was looking at something, he's like, "Did you know the holiday baking's coming back on?" I said, "Yeah." Calista and I started, we watched part of the first episode. Well, now we watched all the first episode. He's like, "Oh, I like it too." Like, "Okay." I said, "Do you?" I honestly thought he liked, like, the Halloween when they do the gigantic pumpkins, and anyways, I was kind of amused by that. I'm like, "Okay, all right. Well, you
Yeah.
can watch it."
I mean, if you'd like to watch it with him instead of me, that's fine too.
No, it doesn't, but I hear you. I'm not, yeah, maybe, and also maybe it's because, we just watched Great British Baking Show, so we always think that that's better, but, I mean, hopefully the challenges aren't as lame as they were in the Halloween one. Like I said, we stopped watching that a while ago because it's just too much.
Yeah, and I guess part of the problem is that for, like, I think the last at least 2 or 3 seasons, people that we haven't liked and who honestly haven't done that well over the course of the show have won, so I'm just anticipating that, and so I guess my hackles are already raised.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I can see that. Alrighty, anything else that we should complain about with holiday baking, or are you good?
I mean, I'm sure I can find more things to complain about in the world, but I'll hold myself back for now.
Okay. All right, then on with the episode. This is our final episode on our series, Female Nurses Who Kill. Today, we hop across the pond to Newcastle, England, to talk about registered general nurse, our RGN, Alison Firth, who wasn't gifted with the empathy required by her job and instead chose callousness, laziness, and murder. Alice Grant, 84, was a mom, a grandmother, and a widower. After suffering 2 strokes, she was unable to speak and was also suffering with dementia. Alice was a resident at Aidan House in Gateshead in the borough of Tyne and Wear in Northeast England. Alice had been a resident of Aidan House for 5 years. She was unable to live alone, and her family thought Aidan House was the best place for her to receive the round the clock palliative care she required. Alice was a frail, elderly woman who was confined to bed and unable to walk. Alice required extensive care from the medical staff and had to be turned frequently to avoid bed sores. She was unable to feed herself and instead relied on a supplemental chocolate drink, which she was fed via syringe. Alice was able to communicate with staff by touch and eye contact. Alice would sometimes become frustrated and agitated. No kidding, I can't even imagine how frustrated she was with her situation.
Yeah, it's like you're locked inside your body. It's a credit to her that she wasn't upset all of the time.
Too true. When Alice's agitation became too combative, she was sometimes given a therapeutic dose of the sedative Heminevrin, the name brand of a medication, chlormethazole. Around 12:30 p.m. on May 12, 2000, Alison Firth was working the day shift and was one of 5 other medical staff, but the only RGN providing care to the 10 residents at Aidan House. Allison was the duty nurse and was responsible for direct patient care and was the only employee with access to and authority to dispense medication. Julie Palmer, a cleaner, was making her rounds to the various patient rooms when she entered Alice's room. She saw that Alice was propped up on the bed with several pillows, but the pillows were slipping and Alice was leaning over, fidgeting, and she looked uncomfortable. Julie noticed that Allison was feeding Alice a brown liquid through a syringe, and there was a pungent odor in the air. Heminevrin, which is related to vitamin D, has a strong sulfur smell, kind of like rotten eggs.
Well, that's unpleasant, but I guess it's good that it makes it harder to give it to someone unnoticed at least. Julie asked if she could fix Alice's pillows and prop her up better because she looked awkward. Allison snapped at her and told her no, and to look closer at Alice, adding she looked a little blue and was going to die anyway. Julie left the room and returned with senior care assistant Joan Fergie Dodds, who noticed the overpowering smell of sulfur and that Alice's breathing seemed labored. She also noticed that Allison was holding a vial of Heminevrin with its unique blue top. Having unsuccessfully opened the window to try and get the smell to dissipate, Allison grabbed the chocolate supplement, beaker, and syringe and headed for the door, saying she was going to clean up. Both Joan and Julie found this odd since Allison never volunteered to clean anything and left any cleaning to other staff members. Julie and Joan stayed in Alice's room for a little bit, and it seemed that Alice's breathing had evened out and she wasn't in distress, so they left her room. Despite her earlier improvement, Alice was found deceased in her bed around 3:30 p.m. Doctors originally indicated that the cause of death was natural due to Alice's advanced age and various health issues. However, several staff members disagreed and believed that Allison could have been involved in Alice's death. Chief Superintendent Chris Simmons from the Northumbria Police Department was on duty when he received a call from an employee at Aidan House regarding Alice's death. 4 employees at the care home believed that Alice's death was suspicious. All 4 of the employees had witnessed Allison's behavior and all had had direct contact with Alice on the day of her death. The workers were interviewed and they all said the same thing. They thought Allison was responsible for Alice's death, so a postmortem was scheduled.
Police asked Allison to come to the station for an interview. Police noted that Allison did not seem nervous or anxious to be called in for an interview. Allison assumed all workers on shift when Alice died would be questioned. She had no idea that her colleagues were pointing the finger at her, though that became clear pretty quickly. Police asked Allison about the comment she had made to a coworker about giving Alice something to help her along her way. Allison, in no distress or feeling like she had anything to worry about, said that was just workplace banter.
Because it's always fun to joke about killing your patients.
Yeah, right? Then, without any prompting, Allison volunteered that she fed Alice like normal, and if someone had put any drugs in her food, it wasn't her.
Way to bring even more attention to yourself.
Allison was held in police custody until the results of the postmortem came back. Luckily for her, the postmortem findings came quickly and they didn't show anything out of the ordinary. So Allison was released on police bail while the investigation into Alice's death continued. Investigators requested a more in depth toxicology screen, including tissue samples looking specifically for Heminevrin. While awaiting the toxicology results, investigators began to take a closer look at Allison.
Not a lot is known about Alison before she came to work at Aidan House. She was born in Scotland in 1965. Her mother was a nurse, and Alison decided to follow in her footsteps. At the time of Alice's death, Alison was married. As of 2024, she still was, and had a daughter. Alison had only been at Aidan House for less than 3 months when Alice died. Alison began her nursing career by becoming a nursing aide and then moving up to become an RGN in 1984. Alison's employment history was extensive. She had worked throughout Scotland and England and had held 27 different positions in her 16-year career. Police found that employers noted Alison's laziness, beginning with her first nursing job at Crosshouse NHS Hospital in Killarney, Scotland. The laziness descriptor followed her at subsequent positions in Tyneside, Northumberland, Harrogate, Hemel Hempstead, Hertfordshire, and Ayrshire, Scotland.
Good job on the names. There's no way I would have been able to. I love the English names, but there's no way I would have been able to say all those.
I mean, me too. Do you know how many times I had to practice that, though?
Aw, sorry.
It's okay. Unflattering remarks regarding Alison's work ethic were numerous. Alison was continually described as coming in late in dirty clothes with an unkempt appearance and the air of just not caring about how she presented herself. More than one employer said that she had been found sleeping while on duty. Alison was also caught lying about her reasons for calling out sick from work. She had lied about her father dying, her mother in law dying, and had even lied about being raped just to get a few days off from work.
I mean, it's despicable.
Seriously, what the fuck is wrong with you? I mean, quite a few things, as we've seen. Alison had also received a police caution while working in Newcastle for falsifying timesheets. She neglected to disclose this information to Aidan House during the application process. Taking a page out of Heather Presty's playbook, she sometimes used her brother and mother as false references. As we have mentioned in numerous episodes, she was helped by the fact that there is a shortage of nurses everywhere, especially in care homes.
Unfortunately, the vetting process is often lacking, and employers often simply believe what the applicant tells them without doing their due diligence to see if there is anything problematic in the person's past. Unsurprisingly, the Gateshead and South Tyneside Health Authority said that at the time Allison was employed at Aidan House, it was the care home's responsibility to ensure that procedures were in place to properly vet new hires. However, the health authority guidelines did not require that references be checked. Big hole there.
Yeah.
While Allison was on police bail and the investigation was ongoing, the media did something they knew full well not to do. They posted Allison's name and photo and inferred that she was the suspect in Alice's death. Police were in the throes of investigating Alice's death, and they were, of course, looking at Allison as the prime suspect. However, this premature leap by the media could have hindered the investigation. but I'm sure they sold extra papers, so all is good.
I mean, it's all fair game when it comes to increasing profits, right?
Greed is good.
Way to channel Gordon Gekko.
After the paper published her name and photo, Allison was afraid that she and her family would become a target of overzealous citizens. This fear seemed to come to fruition when, in early June, Allison made a frantic call to 999. She reported that someone had thrown a brick through her sitting room window and that she was scared for herself and her family. Over the next 2 weeks, Allison reported 9 troubling incidents to the police, which included finding a cut out paper coffin stuck behind her car's windscreen wipers, which included a photo of herself, which she said looked like it had been taken while she was working at Aidan House. A suspicious car had slowly driven by her house numerous times, and she believed that the car looked like that of one of her coworkers. She also said that several small fires had been set on her porch and in her garden. Allison was adamant that she was being targeted, all because the newspaper had printed her name and it was really frightening her because she had done nothing wrong. The police were concerned that the Firth family may be in danger and began investigating in earnest. Police posted an inconspicuous surveillance camera facing the Firth home to find out who was threatening Allison.
And the police must have done a really good job because Allison was so oblivious to the fact that the police were taking these incidents seriously that she was left completely unaware that they had installed a camera. Because if Allison had been paying attention, she may not have continued manufacturing these threats. That's right, there was no angry group of people terrorizing Allison and her family. Allison was the culprit. The camera picked up Allison pouring a flammable liquid on a quilt on her porch and lighting it before quickly extinguishing it so it didn't get out of hand. Allison was really vying to play the lead in her story of, woe is me, I'm the victim. When she was questioned by the police after being arrested for perverting the course of justice, Allison admitted to some of the threatening incidents. Rather than positioning herself as a single rung on the ladder of suspects, she was actually showing herself to be the only one on the ladder. But police still had more investigating to do. More than anything, they needed the toxicology report. When the toxicology results came in, the findings were disturbing. The results showed Heminevrin in Alice's blood and liver, along with residue in her mouth and in her stomach contents. The levels were way above any therapeutic dose. In fact, the levels were 4 times the normal dosage. In a healthy adult, this dosage, though much larger than what would have normally been prescribed, might not have been fatal. But for Alice, a diminutive and frail elderly lady who was in ill health and who weighed approximately 6 stone or 84 pounds, it was lethal. Police interviewed Allison again and shared some of their forensic evidence regarding the toxicology results. Allison said she didn't remember administering any of the stinky sedatives to Alice. The investigating officer, Detective Chief Superintendent Jim Napier, said she was an accomplished liar. She would change her behavior according to who was questioning her. She would swing from being quiet and timid to overbearing.
Allison's trial began a year later in June 2001 at Newcastle Crown Court. Allison pleaded not guilty, of course. They almost do. I mean, almost all.
It's true.
Uh, John Milford, QC, or Queen's Counsel, said that 36-year-old Allison had deliberately taken Alice's life. Prosecutors painted Allison as a deceitful, manipulative nurse who lacked professionalism and had throughout her career resorted to all manner of lying to get out of work. She lacked any compassion towards her aged patients and especially harbored resentment and irritation towards Alice Grant. Why was Alice her chosen victim? Alice was vulnerable, could be combative, and became easily frustrated because of her dementia and lack of ability to do anything for herself. She required a lot of care and was completely dependent on nursing staff for all her needs. She required way more care than Allison was interested in providing. One of Alice's coworkers testified that Allison said, "I wish I could give her something to make her go away." Alice was close to dying naturally, but Allison didn't want to wait. She wanted to hurry things along and be done with caring for Alice. The four Aidan House employees who brought their suspicions about Allison to the police testified at her trial. They said Allison was pissed off that Aidan House was going to change its designation from a nursing home to a residential care home. A nursing home requires around the clock nursing care, but a residential care home assists residents who need a little help with daily tasks but does not provide nursing care. Allison was not interested in looking for her 28th nursing position. I'm not sure how she thought killing Alice would change Aidan House's plan, but people who commit crimes rarely see the big picture.
The lack of critical thinking done before committing murder does seem like a slight oversight.
Up until the trial, Allison professed her innocence and was adamant that she was in no way involved in administering Heminevrin to Alice. However, after a heart to heart with her defense attorneys, Allison had a different story to tell. Allison admitted that she had given Alice a dose of Heminevrin in her chocolate supplement, but only to ease her suffering. Alice was so agitated, and Allison, being the bestest nurse ever, she just wanted to help her.
The defense tried to argue the doctrine of double effect. This doctrine says that if doing something morally good has a morally bad side effect, it's ethically okay to do it, provided the bad side effect wasn't intended. This is true even if you foresaw that the bad effect would probably happen. This is often used as justification in a case where a doctor gives drugs to a patient to relieve distressing symptoms, even though the doctor knows doing this may shorten the patient's life. Because the doctor's intent is solely to relieve pain, they wouldn't be culpable if the patient died. Predictably, this argument didn't work for Allison. The jury of 6 men and 6 women deliberated for under 2 hours before finding Allison guilty of murder. Judge Justice Bell sentenced Allison to a mandatory life sentence with a minimum requirement of 15 years imprisonment until she would be eligible for parole. He also gave her a concurrent sentence of 2.5 years for perverting the course of justice for the manufactured threats she orchestrated while out on bail before she was arrested. A month after Allison was found guilty of Alice's murder, the nursing board held a hearing which Allison declined the opportunity to attend. She was struck off the nursing register. The nursing committee opined that Allison had no concern for the welfare of vulnerable patients, and that because she had committed the most serious breach of public confidence and trust imaginable, her nursing license was permanently revoked.
Like many prisoners who are nearing their release date and are allowed short periods away from their confinement to assimilate back into the community while still being monitored by the prison, Allison was given day release. Allison worked at the Shared Earth shop in York. Walking the Walk, Shared Earth, who opened their first shop in 1986, specializes in selling sustainable, ethical, and recycled products from around the world. Their mission is to help vulnerable people living in difficult situations. Thinking globally but acting locally, they expand their altruistic aim to helping people from very challenging situations, including prisoners who may find it difficult to find work by providing them with a job with the hope that they will not reoffend.
Which is admirable.
It really is. After serving 16 years of her sentence, Allison was released from HMP Askham Grange, just outside York, on November 17, 2017. Upon her release, Allison decided to change her surname to Ramsey. And if Allison had taken the opportunity provided to her by Shared Earth, that is where our episode would end, with Allison assimilating back into her community. Alas, that's not where the fate of Allison ends.
What? She didn't become a better person in prison? Who would have thunk it?
I mean, I really do wonder what the percentage of people that become a better person is.
I
options for
know
this.
some of them exist, it's just we don't hear about it often.
It's true. Allison did continue to work at Shared Earth after her release. During her 5 years working at the shop, she was promoted first to assistant manager and then shop manager, overseeing up to 12 workers. Allison was responsible for running the day to day activities of the shop and counting and cashing out the till at the end of the day. How did Allison repay Shared Earth for their faith in her? By stealing, of course. Allison started small, stealing anywhere from 30 to 100 pounds at a time from the till, assuming she wouldn't be caught because she was taking such small amounts. But numbers don't lie.
In October 2022, the shop's retail director noticed some financial irregularities, revealing that the amount indicated in the bank bags did not match the amount entered in the bank books. A closer look unearthed receipts and altered spreadsheets that pointed to the missing money. The retail director brought her concerns to the managing director, and the troubling findings were shown to Allison, who admitted to her ongoing theft. The shop's investigation revealed that 26,672 pounds appeared to have gone missing during Allison's employment. Allison admitted stealing 17,000 pounds, and the prosecution accepted that, acknowledging that there may have been some errors in calculating the larger amount. Shared Earth's founder, Jeremy Piercy, said they had been fooled by Allison. He said they took a chance on hiring her and putting her in a position of authority where people looked up to her. And rather than taking the opportunity she had and becoming a productive member of society, she ruined it. He summed up Allison when he said she is her own worst enemy.
Jeremy, who is a way better person than me, said that Shared Earth would continue to offer prisoners job opportunities, though with extra precautions. He said that Allison's deceit caused Shared Earth to lose money, but even with Allison's behavior, it does not change his company's policy to help prisoners get back into their community. He went on to say that Shared Earth's policy of hiring prisoners was a positive way of preventing crime in the future because so many prisoners reoffend when they come out of prison because of the lack of jobs available to them. He feels that hiring prisoners not only helps the individual, but helps the whole community too.
Kudos to him for putting his money where his mouth is. Like you, I'm not sure I would be as devoted to the cause after being burned.
I know I wouldn't be. Judge Simon Hickey sentenced Allison to 20 months for employee theft. She was serving her sentence at HMP Style in Cheshire. Allison was still incarcerated in the summer of 2024. We couldn't find if Allison is still in prison. Since she broke the terms of her prison license for Alice's murder when she committed the theft, it is up to the parole board if and when she will be eligible for early release. I know that the UK rarely keeps prisoners sentenced to life in prison for life and looks at the prison system more as rehabilitation, unlike the US, where prison is punishment and the idea of rehabilitation is mainly lip service. I do wonder if Allison is open to rehabilitation. Not that she will murder anyone else, especially since her nursing credentials have been revoked, but just that she will always take the easy way out. I mean, what do you think?
I think it's going to take more than another stint in prison to prevent her from putting herself first at the expense of others. Even though life sentences are rarer in the UK and their justice system aims to be less punitive, I'm not sure how successful that is in practice. And Allison wouldn't just need new tools, she'd need the desire to change her way of operating in the world. And I have a hard time seeing a woman known for her laziness making the effort.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Well, we have come to the end of our series on female killer nurses. We have talked about nurses with all kinds of motives and really no motives at all. Already am the type of person with a healthy or unhealthy dose of skepticism regarding many institutions. So I am now even more leery of hospitals and especially care homes.
I mean, there's a reason most people, me included, don't like hospitals and care homes. And we've talked about it before, but any trusted position of power is going to attract predators. And it's far easier to get away with killing vulnerable populations like the very young and very old when sadly a certain number of deaths are expected and unquestioned, especially when the killer has the medical knowledge and access to make them appear to have been natural.
I mean, damn, that's horrific, but true.
Next week, we'll be starting our new theme, serial killers who targeted gay men in the 90s, with the case of J. Thomas Johnson. All the sources we used for this episode are in the show notes below. If you'd like to suggest a case or theme for us to discuss, you can email us at terrifyinglytypicalpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us at terrifyinglytypicalpodcast on Instagram and at terrifyinglytypicalpod on TikTok. Feel free to leave us a comment, rating, or review to let us know what you think. We'd love to hear your opinions.
See you next week.